Hello and welcome to this new tutorial from MOO ICT. We will be making a simple Pac-Man game using object-oriented programming and event-driven programming. We will make this game using Windows Forms format and only using the default available components inside of Visual Studio. Please download the images from MOO ICT Patron and let's get started. Okay, so before we get started on the project in Visual Studio, I'd like you to download the images from the link in the description first. So here I've downloaded all of the images. Okay, so we have our 4 directional Pac-Man GIF animations. So they look like this. And the ghosts are not animated, and then we have a coin for the game. Okay, so if you download the resources first, and then we can extract them into a folder where you can find easily, which we're going to be importing into the project soon. Okay, now let's click on create a new project. I'm going to choose my Windows Form app.net, not the .NET Framework one. Click next. Let's name this one Pacman v2 MOO ICT. Okay, next. I'm just going to leave the .NET as its default for .NET 8, I believe it is now. .NET 6, .NET 8, yeah. And then click create. Okay, so now that our form has been loaded, just a bit of warning beforehand is that because we're going to be putting in a lot of graphics onto Windows Form, the screen might glitch and flicker a little bit. So just be warned, because you can't really control that, unfortunately, because it's rendering stuff on a very low dimensional form. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a few things to our form first, but let's modify this a little bit. I'm going to call the form Pac-Man game MOO ICT. Okay, so just a title that goes on the form there. For the size of the form, I'm going to change the size from width. I want the width to be 1030, and then 775 for the height of the form. Okay, I'm just going to minimize this so I can work with the rest of the form there. Okay, save the project as frequently as you possibly can. I'm just going to go to the toolbox first, and let's grab a picture box. Just one would do for now. One other thing I want to do to the form is I want to enable double buffered. So just check that to true here. So far on the form, I changed the title, size, height, width, and the height width is set to 1030 width and 775 height. And now I just enable double buffer and put in a picture box on the form. Okay, so this picture box here, see, I'm just gonna let's change the back color of this picture box to a little bit bluish, and this would do. And then the form back color, we can change that to black. Okay, so we want the form to be darker. Okay, so this could be part of the wall. So if I were to just adjust it here, do the same one up there. I'm just copying this over. So if I shift click while this one is selected, if I shift click this one, this will also be selected, right? And then I can just control and drag, and it will make a duplicate of this. Okay. And the gap looks too big in the middle there. Maybe make it a bit smaller. Because the Pac-Man is going to be going through the walls and then coming out the other one, it's important to make sure that both of the sizes are the same. Otherwise, it's going to clip on the edge. Okay, I'm just going to copy this one and then make the side rails. I can here have a gap. Up in the same place again. Okay, so I think this would be a good start to our level. Okay, now if we select all of the platforms, all of the walls here, not the platforms, so I'm just going to shift click on all of them. Right, so I'm just checking all the picture boxes, right? And then go down here to tag. I'm going to put a tag in for wall so we know what this particular picture box is. Okay, the size and names and such, we will dynamically check those because there's so many of them. We don't want to be checking them one by one. We'd rather check them all at once. Okay, so with that done, let's go ahead and create another picture box. Okay, so in this one's case, we're going to be making it as the Pac-Man there. So I'm just going to call this one Pac-Man. Okay, let me right click and say choose image. So here we're going to be importing the resources you've downloaded before from the website. Just make sure you have in a folder where you can select it. Okay, so here I have all the pictures for the game. So the coin, the ghost, and the Pac-Man. I'm just going to select everything, and then click open. I'm going to find Pac-Man right, and then click OK. And I will size this one to find the size option. Yeah, I'm going to change it to 50, 50. Okay. Change the size mode to stretch image so we can see the whole Pac-Man face on there. Okay, so that would be our Pac-Man here, and then we can just leave it in the middle to begin with. Okay, now that with all our resources in, I'm just going to start making some coins. I'm going to make a copy of Pac-Man first. Choose image, then go to find the coin here. I'm just going to make the coin first and then change this one size to 15 by 15. So it's smaller. I think that's too small. 20 by 20 maybe. Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, change it to 20 by 20. So then we can make a few of them. I'm just going to copy it over. Actually, before we do that, we need to make some add a tag to this one because it's a lot easier to tag one of them than tag all of them together for the coins. I'm just going to give it a tag called coin in the properties window. Okay. And then we can start putting them, spreading it out a little bit. So I'm just holding the control button and I'm just, while one of them is selected, I'm just dragging it. Okay. Okay, so that's one panel there. I'm going to copy all of this. Okay, the second bit. Again. Fourth. Okay, it's starting to come together a little bit. We just add a few more in the middle there. I'll take about 4 from there, and then them here. Okay, take that again with all of them. Move these here, these over here, and then one more column here. So there's plenty of coins for the Pac-Man to go for. We are going to spawn the ghosts dynamically here, 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 and yeah. So all 4 corners, the ghosts will be there, and the ghosts will have their own internal logic where they will be able to chase the Pac-Man or just mind their own business and just move left, right, up, or down, right? So there will be different states for the ghosts to go through, and I'll show you how to do those as well. Okay, so with that done, let's go ahead and get our timer, which is very important. This timer is going to be the main game loop. So we're going to be able to run the timer on an interval for every 20 millisecond, and in that 20 millisecond, you will check for movement, collision, and obviously whether the player won, lost, or when to change the states for the ghosts and so on. I'm going to leave the enable to false for now. I'm not going to enable it because we're going to want to add a panel to it where we're going to be having a start button and so on. And then we'll do that in a minute. Okay, so with the timer now added, let's go ahead and add our panel. So what a panel does is panel is able to group a bunch of objects together. Okay, so we're going to make a panel just across here. Then you're able to move the panel any way you want. So just in the middle here, so we can actually show the start screen right here in the middle. Okay, and the panel is going to have a button. And the button is basically just to play. Just say play the game. I want to make the font a little bit bigger for the button here. So I'm going to say bold 16. So it's quite obvious. Okay. We need a couple of labels here as well. Okay. Put a label there. Because the font color and the back color is black, we can't really see it. So we can change the forecolor here to Pac-Man yellow. And then change the font. Maybe to something slightly more. And just pick something that you like. Those would do. Okay, and then I'm going to change the auto size of this one to false. Okay, and I'm going to stretch it to the panel width. Okay. And now we can align it to the center. Okay, so text, instead of text align being top left, align it to the center and change the title of the game to say MOO ICT, right? So say for example, that's the title of the game. And then we can also move down the bottom here. So this part here, what we want to do is whenever we finish the game, right, we can display a message. So in the beginning, it could be just instructions, right? So you can say up, down, left, right. So it could be just the instructions on how to play for now. And then once you played the game once, we should be able to update this label to say, you know, what your score was before you got caught by the ghost, or whether you collected all the coins and so on. Okay, and to do that, instead of saying label 2 on this one, we'll just say LBL info. And then we'll just call that when we finished. Okay, let's change the timer 1 name here, call it game timer. So it's nice to have things like without the default name sometimes. Panel 1 would be called menu, panel menu. Okay, we're just changing the names of these, so it's a lot easier for us to manage them afterwards. Okay, then I can move a little bit, make it bigger. Okay, great. So now let's go ahead and add the events. So we've added the picture boxes, coins, Pac-Man's right behind the screen there. We changed the names as well. So now let's go ahead and add the events. So we're going to get started on coding it. The first thing, I'm going to click on the empty part of the form or the title screen. Just click on the title bar here. So you have access to the form, not to many of these picture boxes. So the events we're going to add are going to go into the form first, and then afterwards we're going to be adding events to the button and to the timer as well. Okay, so let's go to the events for the form first. So let's find key down event. The key is down. Okay, so it's the key is down one is all we're going to need for this, just for the interactions, because the Pac-Man is going to go continuous. So if you press down, it's going to continuously go down. If you press left, right, up is going to continuously go into those directions. We don't necessarily need to hold the button down for the Pac-Man game. We just need to press it once, basically. Okay, second one is going to be for the game timer. So let's click on the game timer here. Go to the events for the game timer. Type in game timer event, like so. Okay, so now we have the keys down and the game timer. I will zoom in a little bit later on once it's time to write the code. Okay, and then we need the button here. So button click is going to be start button click. Okay, so I'm calling this one start button click. Okay, so just to make things fast, I'm just going to close the design view for now. I will focus on the code view, and I'll minimize these as well so there's more space. Okay, so one of the things that we actually need to add for this project is going to be a class. We haven't added any of our ghosts yet, but what I wanted to do is to create a ghost class where the ghosts can be moved independently from each other, so we don't have to necessarily manually move them inside of the timer. We can set like a state for them and they let them move around themselves. Obviously, it's been a while since I did the last tutorial and I've learned quite a lot since then. And I wanted to show you guys some of the stuff that you can actually incorporate into the project by using object-oriented programming. Let's take a look at how this actually works. So if I go to Solutions Explorer now and right-click on the Pacman V2 MOO ICT, not the first one, the second one there, right? So the one with the triangle in front of it. Right-click on that, click on Add Class. Okay, make sure the class is selected. Okay, I'm going to type in Ghost, Ghost, capital G, and then Add. Okay, so this is our Ghost class. So we can create the red, blue, yellow, and pink ghost from using this class, and they will have the blueprint on, they know what to do kind of thing in the game, and they will work on their own sort of thing, right? And this is the best thing about using object-oriented programming as well, because it gives you extra points on using the OP features, but also it makes the code much more manageable, and if you want to add more stuff to it, you can do as well. Okay, so to begin with this one, we need a lot of variables, and let's go ahead and add those. So first we're going to need a Boolean. Okay, so let's do groups of 4s. So let's say go up, go down, go left, and go right. Okay, so these are our Booleans to move left and right. Now, another thing I want to do is in the last Pac-Man tutorial, I couldn't do that one, is to stop at the wall. So get Pac-Man to stop at the wall, not being able to sort of go through the wall. So instead of stopping at the wall last time, if you touch the wall, the game ended. But this time around, I want to make sure like the Pac-Man stops, whether you're moving up, down, left, or right. And to do that, we need 4 more Booleans that we need to check whether going up is allowed, going down is allowed, going left or going right is allowed. Okay, so we're going to call this no up. So no up means if the no up is true, then we can't move up anymore. No down means no down is true, we can't move down anymore. No left and no right. Okay, so now let's do the lists for the wall and for the coins, right? So list, we're going to pick the picture box list, not quite, but we're going to call it walls equals to new list picture box. Okay, and then let's do another list again, this time picture box, but we're going to say coins, okay, equals to new list picture box. So we have our walls list and our coins list. Okay, we'll also do a int for speed and set it to 12, and then we'll do another integer for score, we'll set it to 0. Okay, and we will add the ghost here slightly later on once we actually get our movement and everything done. Okay, all right, so let's go and create a few functions that we're actually going to need. So unlike last time, I'm going to try and create much more tidier code this time around. Instead of having everything inside of the game timer, that's basically going to check for every single thing. Instead of that, we're going to try to put it into functions. That's basically going to make it a lot more manageable and modular. The level where the program, if you need to add something to it, if you need to get rid of something later on, it's a lot easier without dealing with like the main timer event. So to do that, let's first go ahead and create a few functions that we're going to need. All right, so first one I'm going to need is private void setup. Okay, so all the lists and everything else will be set up in here. Okay, and we'll deal with that a little bit later on. Another one we're going to basically need is to say player movements. So private void player movements. Okay, so these ones do not need any arguments or parameters inside. Okay. Then we're going to go and also do private void show coins. Right, so show coins is like once all the coins have been collected, we can just run this function to enable all of them later on. Okay, and we also need one called check boundaries, and this one we're going to need some parameters for. Private void check boundaries. So this one is going to be the interaction between the player and the walls. Okay, so between the player and the wall, we're going to pass both of these picture boxes into this function to check if they are colliding with each other, and then do the rest of the bits inside of here. One is a picture box, right? Let's call this one Pac-Man. So this one, because it's inside of the function, it's not going to affect the Pac-Man that were created before. Okay, so Pac-Man, and then picture box wall. Okay, and if you notice that little arrow that shows up on my screen there, that's because my word wrap is on. So anytime the words reach this end, it will go down a line, although it's still on line number 49 here. Okay, so check boundaries, we're going to need Pac-Man and the wall. Make sure that, we don't go out of bounds when we hit the wall. Okay, and another one we're going to need is private void collecting coins. Okay, and here once again we're going to do two picture boxes. Pac-Man again, and then picture box once again, and this time it's going to be a coin. So we'll check the collision between the Pac-Man and the coin. Right, and then another collision one we're going to need is between the ghost and the Pac-Man. Okay, so say ghost collision is with picture box, Pac-Man. Actually, let's go to the ghost first. So I'm going to need a reference to the class in order to basically, instead of X, I'm just going to call it G. So I want to need a reference to the class in order to change some of the stuff, like for example, changing the directions after they've, say for successfully got Pac-Man. So instead of them coming towards the same direction after you spawn again, instead of that, I want to make sure that the game resets properly. So that's why we need a reference to the class first. Okay, and these are many benefits that you can have for designing your own classes and having them put into your games and so on. Okay, and let's go ahead and put the picture box in here first for Pac-Man, and then another picture box for the ghost. Okay, so this one is going to be when the player collides with the ghost, reset everything, game over, show the last screen, everything else. And then lastly, we'll have private void game over. Okay, so this one here is basically just to display the last screen. So, right, these are the three events that we added: key is down, game timer event, and the start button click. That's the one that we added from the window. And the ones we've written up is setup, player movements, show coins, check boundaries, collecting coins, ghost, collision, and game over. Okay, I hope you guys are following along so far. If you feel free to pause the video anytime, so if it helps you to type up. Okay, go variables. Oh. So as the game starts, I'm going to run the setup function. Okay, so with the initialize component, what the initialize component does, it loads up the buttons, labels, picture boxes, all the stuff that we need in order to run the application. But with the along with the initialize component, when it's done that, I want to run the setup function, so that way we have our lists and everything else set up right there. Okay, so for now, just to begin, we're going to do a for each loop here, right? And then we're going to go for the control X in this dot controls. Okay, so we're looking for X control, right? What we want is we want to make sure if X is picture box first, or picture box 1, picture box class, right? And X dot tag is equals wall. Okay, then we want to add the X to the walls list. So walls add. Okay, we'll do another bracket inside here just to make sure we got casting right. And there we are. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. And got rid of one of the brackets from there. All right, so we're adding the X as a picture box to the walls list. Okay, and that is if the tag is wall. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste this again. It's kind of the similar thing again. This time I'm looking for coin, right? And this time it's going to be coins. So same for loop. We're going to loop through everything. So if any of them have a tag of wall, we add it to the walls list, and then tag of coin, we add it to the coins list. So as a check, just to check that if it's all working, we're going to do so this dot text equals to walls dot count plus, let's do a space here, plus coins dot count. So I want to make sure that it's being added to the walls being added to the list, and coins are being added to the list as well. Okay, so if I run this, okay, so we have got 8 walls, which is true, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then we have 104 coins. Okay, that's quite a lot of coins there. Okay, so that's fine. At least we know that it's being added, which is great. We can delete that from there now. Okay, so for each is working just fine. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll get the keys down event done first, and then we'll do the player movement, so we can actually move the player around, and then we might try the boundaries and collecting coins before moving on to the other ones. All right, so let's go with the key is down event. So I'm going to start with the if statement here. So if e code is equals keys dot left. Okay, and then we're going to also say and no left is false. So at the moment, if I say no left is false, meaning that if we can still go left at this point, right? So if I press the key and no left is false, that means we can go left, then we should be able to go left at this point. Okay, before we can go left, we need to set all the other booleans to false. So I'm going to say go right equals to go down equals to go up equals to false, right? So I'm just grouping them all together and setting them all false. So when we're going left, we shouldn't be able to go up and down at the same time, right? So I want Pac-Man to focus on one direction. And then this one's going to no right equals to no down equals to no up equals to false. So, okay, I don't know why that is bugging me when it flashes across the screen like that. Maybe slightly smaller, hopefully you can still see it. Okay, and then we go to go left is equals to true. So at this point, go left should be true. And then pacman.image is equals to properties.resources. Then we're going to be focusing on Pac-Man left. Okay, so that's for the left key. Let's go do another key here. E.keycode equals keys.right. And we're going to say no right is false. So at this point, it's going to be go left equals to go up equals to go down is equals to false. No left equals to no up equals to no down is equals to false. And then go right is equals to true. Pacman.image goes to properties, not property item, properties.resources dot right. Okay, so we got our key code for the right key. Okay, and then let's try again for the up. Key code goes keys.right and not right, sorry, this one's going to be keys.up with the right already. Okay, and no up is false. In that case, we have to go left equals to go right equals to go down is equals to false. Then no left equals to no right equals to no up is equals to false. Okay, so, and then we'll just say go up equals to true. At this point it is. Okay, so that's for the up key. Now let's do the down key here. If key.keycode is equals keys dot down and no down is false, then we can say go left, go right, and go up now, yeah. And then no left, no right, and then no up is equals to false as well. Okay, and then we'll do go down is equals to true. And Pacman dot image equals to properties or resources dot down. Realize I didn't put one image for the up. So Pacman dot image equals to resources dot up. Okay, so we have left, right, up, and down. Okay, so there's 4 statements in here. Because it's one directional, we're not going to need a keys up event for this particular game. Okay, so we're done with that one now. We'll do the player movements, yeah, and then we can reference that in the timer later on. So inside of the player movements, we're going to reference all 4 directions first. So we're going to say if, right, go left, and just do it in one line rather than multiple lines. I might just copy that over for a bit. Pacman dot left is going to be minus equals to speed. Okay, and let me just copy that line for a little bit. So 1, 2, right. So I'm going to say go right, and go right is going to be plus equals to speed. Right, and copy it again. Go up. That's going to be Pacman dot top. So we're not aiming for the left anymore. Top is going to be minus equals to speed. So moving up, meaning we are deducting the speed, deducting the value from the top location or the Y location. And then we're adding value when we're going down. Okay. Okay, then. So here we have our 4 movements. And now if we reference this function inside of the game timer, okay, not game timer, sorry. I just typed in game timer there. So player movements, right? So as soon as the game timer starts, it should automatically work. And I do want to test things out, and in order to do that, we need to some stuff to the start button here. So that way, that goes away when we click on start. So let's just do panel menu. So enable equals to false. So when we click on it, I want to disable everything that's in there. Okay, panel menu dot visible equals to false as well. So invisible is fine. Okay, and then as soon as we start, I'm gonna go left, go right, go up, go down, goes to false. So I'm gonna set all of this to false. No left, All right, no up, and node equals to false as well. So both of these things are false. We will set the score back to 0. Okay, and we will add the ghost bits here after. Okay, we will add the ghost bits there afterwards. And then we can last thing we can say is the game timer does start. Okay, so we are disabling it. So good thing about panel is like we don't have to individually go and disable the button. We can disable it right here. So when the panel is disabled, all the elements that rest inside of it will also be disabled as well. Okay, so if you click on start now. Okay, so let's see. Okay, great. There you go. Our Pac-Man is moving. Not stopping anywhere. It's not collecting anything. It's just moving around. Okay, not bad actually. Okay. One other thing I want to do is when the Pac-Man goes in any of these locations, I want it to pop out on the other end. Okay. Oh, let's do that. We should do that in the player movements. Okay, so let's say if Pac-Man on the left is less than -30, so it's gone past the left-hand side wall there. Then we're going to say Pac-Man dot left is equals to this dot client size dot width minus Pac-Man dot width. So he appears on the other side basically, right? And then if Pac-Man dot left plus Pac-Man dot width is greater than this dot client size dot width, so it's greater than the form, right? Then Pac-Man dot left is going to be equals to say -10. So we're pushing it to the other side, right? So it just pops out of a gap on the other side of the wall. Okay, so let's try that now. Okay, here we go. Okay. It's appearing from the other side. So if you need to collect the coins, run a shortcut, we can do. No problem. Okay, great. Let's do the top side. So if Pac-Man.top is less than -30, right? So we reach the top end through the gap. And top is equals to this dot client size dot height this time, right? Minus Pac-Man dot height. I'm gonna take away 50 from that and then leave the rest. Okay, and then say Pac-Man dot top plus Pac-Man dot width is greater than this inside now. This dot client size dot height. So if it's greater than that, then say Pac-Man dot top is equals to -10. Okay, so it should just appear through there. Okay, let's go. There we are. Okay, right. Okay, now let's work on the boundaries, I suppose. So Pac-Man is right now running all over the walls. We need to stop that. Okay, so player movements now done. If you do need time to finish this off, you can do so. Okay, and then just pause the video and come back to it whenever you feel confident that you've done it. I'm just going to minimize this part so it's not too much for me to scroll around. Setup we're still going to need. Start button we're still going to need later on. So I'm just going to minimize this for now. Key down we're not going to need again. I think we're going to be okay with that one right now. Okay, so setup, minimize it for now. I can come back to it. All right, let's go with check boundaries for a second. Okay, so first of all, we're going to run an if statement with the to check whether Pac-Man and the wall is the bounds are the same as each other. Okay, the if Pacman dot bounds dot intersect with, and then here we have wall dot bounds, right? So wall dot bounds and Pacman dot bounds, if they're the same, and then inside of here we can run a bunch of if statements to make sure we catch him in the direction that he's going. So if we go left, if the go left boolean is true when the collision has happened, then we can say no left is equals to true. Okay, and then go left is equals to false. So that way the player doesn't move anymore. And then we need to stop the player from overlapping the wall. So say Pacman.left is equals to wall.right plus 2. So we just give it a 2 pixel buffer in between each other. Okay. And then we need to do the same for go right. So if go right, so and then we say no right is equals to true, right? Go right is equals to false. So we can't move the player right anymore. And then say Pacman.left is equals to wall.left. So the left position of the wall minus Pacman.width minus 2. Okay, so we're just taking away that. So basically there's a slight gap between the wall and Pacman, so that way they're not overlapping with each other. Okay, so just to check this out, let's see if it works. So underneath the player movements, we can just paste the function there. So remember what I said about making the program a little bit more modular, as in the fact that, you know, we can just add the functions there without needing to add everything manually inside of the timer. This is what I meant. Okay, so right now we just need to reference Pac-Man and the wall here. So to reference the wall, actually we need a for loop. So we need to do a for each loop here. Say picture box, wall in walls, right? So if we are now, we're going to loop through each of the wall inside of the timer. Okay, and then we're going to say check boundaries, and we're going to check boundaries against Pac-Man and wall. Okay, so far we've only done the left and right, so I just want to make sure that it's actually working before we go any further. Okay, so now I'll go this way. You see it stops at the wall there, although I can move back and move up and down, but it still stops at the wall. Let's go this side, stops at the wall again. Okay, there's a slight gap, but because you're not going to be spending a lot of time with the wall, so it'd be okay. Okay, that's fine. We need to do the up and down now, and then we should have a full collision, boundary collision here. Now then we're going to go to say go up. So if we are going up, then say no up is equals to true, right? Then go up is equals to false, and Pacman.top. So when we are going up, Pacman.top is equals to wall.bottom plus 2. Okay, so we want to stop the player from going upwards through the picture boxes. Okay, we'll do another if here to say this one is going to go down. Okay, so go down. So no down is equals to true. We can't go down anymore, and then we can go down is equals to false. Pacman.top is equals to wall.top minus Pacman.height minus 2. So we dealt with the width before, now it's with the height. Okay, so this is the code for the boundaries, right? So we have an if statement to check if the two bounds are similar to each other with the colliding. Inside of there, we're going to check for the direction. So for each direction, we're giving specific instructions for the program to follow. Okay, and then it comes all the way from go left, go right, go up, and then go down. And then let's test this out. Okay, so now I can't go down this way, can't go up. And if I stop here, nice. Okay, so as you can see, there's no overlap whatsoever. Okay, so for the collecting coins part, it's going to be similar to how we did it before, but it'll be a lot shorter. So we're going to say if Pacman.bounds.intersect with, then we're going to say coin dot bounds, right? And if that is true, we need to check one thing. If coin dot visible is true, so if coin is visible, right, then we're going to set coin dot visible to false, right? And we also want to add one to the score. Okay, so that way we know for a fact that if the coin is invisible, we shouldn't be able to collect it. So only collect the visible ones. So we're not removing it from the form itself. We're just making it invisible. So then it's a lot easier for us to make it visible again when we want to play the second time. Okay. So I'm running it without putting the function, put the function in the timer first. Okay. So let's go to the function now. We need to do another for each loop here. Let's do another for each loop. This time we're going to look for picture box again. A coin, and then look for coins. Okay, and run the function for check collecting coins, run with Pac-Man and with coin. Okay, because the coin is the local variable that we're giving it here. Okay, so now we should be able to run both of these for loops for us. Okay, and as you can see, now we are able to collect coins in the game. Okay, that's all done. I think once the coins are gone, I want to be able to have a way to bring the coins back as well. So because we do have the function to show all the coins, right? Okay, so inside the show coins function, we're just going to do a for each loop here. Say if picture box coin in coins is invisible, right? And then we're just going to say coin dot visible equals to true. We'll just loop through all of the items and then make them visible again. I'll go to the timer. What I want to do here is if score is equals to coin dot count, right? Then we're going to say show coins, right? And then we're going to set score back to 0 again. And that way it doesn't keep running. It only runs when the count is exactly the same. So this I've just added inside of the timer. Yeah. So underneath the for each loop for collecting coins. And let's just test it out. Let me just quickly go and grab all the coins. A messy way of collecting it, to be honest. Okay, so as you can see, as soon as I collect the last one, it all comes back again into the game. Okay, that's great. Okay, nice to see everything's working as intended. Okay, so I think moving forward now, we're going to need to actually work on our ghost class, right? So we've done the coins, we've done the movement, we've done the collision between the coins, collision between the wall. Now time for the ghosts to make a entrance into the game. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our class here. So I'm just going to make some space inside the second of the curly brackets here. And let's go ahead and create our variables. So before we start, we need actually to make use of the Windows Form picture box. So to do that, we need to use the namespace over here. Okay. So we will have to say using system.windows.forms. Okay. So we do need that. Okay, we need this for picture box. Okay, now with that done, right now we should have access to the picture box. So before that, we'll go and make a couple of public variables here. So say public int speed. Does it need to be public? I don't think it does. I'm just going to int speed is equals to 8, right? Int x speed to 4, int y speed to 4. Okay. So normally when it's moving in one direction, we want it to have a speed of 8. But then when it goes into like seeking mode, where it's following the player, then we're going to halve the speed for the X and Y, right? So that way it's not chasing the player too fast. So you give the player a chance to maneuver around them and to sort of wait for that state to be over and then for them to go back to their wandering around. Okay. We'll do another one called int max height. So how far the ghost can travel up, and in max width, and you know how far they can go on the horizontal and vertical way. Int change. So change is going to be responsible to generate a number, random number, and when we generate a we're going to reduce that number from whatever it generates to 0, and then as soon as it hits 0, we're going to change the state to something. Okay, and then this is where we're going to need the random to new random. Okay, so we'll have that. After that, we're going to need a string, and this time I'm going to create an array called directions with an S. Okay, and at the end of that, we're going to basically give our values here. Okay, so we have a left, right, up, and then down. Okay, we'll also have one for seek. So when we're going left, right, up, and down, you know, they're just going to be moving around in the level. But then when they're going to seek mode, they're going to be actually actively finding the player and to find where the player position is and then follow the player and so on and so forth. So it makes the game a bit more dynamic without trying to sort of say, for example, players understanding the patterns of the enemy movements and so on. So once they start moving out of bounds a little bit, it does get a lot more fun to avoid them. Okay. And then we're going to make another string called direction. This one we're just going to pick a direction from any one of them. By default, let's just leave it as left. Okay, and then we will do a public picture box, right? Call it image, and then new picture box. Okay, so we're going to need that to basically set the ghost image and so on. All right, so these are the variables that we need right now. And then after that, we're going to say public ghost. So that's my home constructor. So whenever the whenever the class is created, it's going to create it's going to construct the class through here, right? So we can actually give more instructions on what we want it to do. One of the ones that we're going to do is I'm going to allow the some parameters to be passed from the other form into the class. Okay, as we're dynamically creating the ghost here, we have to add it to the controls for the form. So the way the form works is that, you know, these things here, the Pac-Man, the walls and the coins, they were added to the form before we could be able to move it around and stuff like that. So this is what we'll have to do as well. So in this case, I want a reference of that form. And then also we should be able to add our ghosts from this script into this script. Okay, I'll show you how it's done. So I'm going to call form, call a game, right? And then image img, so that's for the red, pink, yellow ghost images. And then we'll do int x value and int y value. So when the ghosts are being created, we'll have to provide these values in order for the ghost to be created properly. Okay. All right, so first we're going to say image is equals to img. Yep. And then we'll obviously say image.size mode, right? Going to be picture box size mode.stretch image. So we want it to be stretched. Image.width is equals to 50. Image.height is equals to 50. Okay. Okay. And then image.left is going to be equals to x. Image.top is going to be equals to y. Okay. So here we are setting it all up. So the image gets set up, stretch mode, 50, 50, X, Y, right? And then lastly, we're going to need to basically say game controls.add image, right? So the game is the main form. We're going to call the controls through this class, add this image, this particular image, right? This picture box here to the actual form, and then we can control that through there by using this class. Okay. And one other thing we are going to need is to find out the max width and max height. And that's what other thing that we need. Let's figure that out from here. We have to go get the form open again. Okay, so let's say, for example, I want it to, from the top there, you can come over here. So if I can just get the location of this one. So Y is 81. So minimum is 81 and maximum is going to be 635. Okay, keep a note of that for now. Up min 81 635 and max is okay. Left min. Let's go, and so we don't have to keep opening the form again. I'm worried of the glitches. Location is X is 76 and 919. Okay, 76 and 919. Okay, 76 and 919. Okay, so what we can do here is we can kind of do, we've got the max and we'll do the minimum as well. Min height, and we'll set it up here. Min width. Okay. So minimum height was 81. Really about 75. So it moves slightly over. And 635. Maximum was 65. Minimum width 76. 76 and then 920, I think. 919, 20. That's fine. And so that's all been set up there. So this will come handy when we actually need to move the ghosts in the screen. Right now, I'll explain how that works. So we got through those. That's perfectly fine. We got them set up over there. Now we just need another function here to move past it. Okay. Right. So in order for like left, right, up and down, they can work on their own. But in order for the seek to work, we'll have to have a reference of man from somewhere. So what I found was quite useful is that if I created a function where similar to this, I'll just reference Pac-Man and then we can call that from the other class to make sure that, the classes are being updated with Pac-Man's location at any one time so the ghost can move around chasing him. Okay, so let's make a public void ghost movement function here. Okay, so these are going to individually apply to individual ghosts that we're going to create. All right, and then I'm going to reference a picture box and I'll call it Pac-Man. Okay, so this is going to run inside the main timer of the game. So first of all, I'm going to say if change is greater than 0, right? Then change minus. So I want to reduce 1 from the change integer. So that way it's continuously reducing itself, right? And the reason for that is once it hits 0, right? We want to basically set it back up again. So say a random next. So any value would do. I'll go with 50 to 60, it's 50 to 80, right? So between 50 to 80 is going to set a number and then it's just going to reduce that to 0. Okay, and then when it does that, we're going to choose a direction from the directions list, right? So we're going to say random dot next, and then we'll put in directions length because we're using an array. Okay, so this is the way we're going to do it. So anytime it reaches 0, by the time it resets, we'll have a new direction for the ghost to move into. Okay, and currently the default direction is left, so that's perfectly fine. And then we're going to say switch, so we'll have a switch statement here looking for direction, right? And then we'll delete these for now. Let's go with the case by case basis. So we'll do left. Okay, we'll do a break here. Okay, so when we're going to move left, we're going to say image dot left is going to be minus equals to speed. Okay, so because we're moving one direction, we can apply the speed to it. Okay, case right. Oh, why am I down there? Okay, image dot left is going to be plus equals to speed. Okay, and we'll talk about the boundaries and stuff like that a little bit later on, once we get to that part. Okay, and then after that is going to be case up. Okay, and in this case it's going to be image dot top minus equals to speed, then break out of that. Case down will be image dot top plus equals to speed, and then break out of that. So I think what I'm going to do first is I want to take out the seek part here. We'll worry about the seek part in a minute. And then let's try and work it first, and then we can come back to it. Okay, so let's go back to the form1.cs, right? And I think I left a note here to be said ghosts to be added. So now that we have a blueprint, sort of an incomplete blueprint, but a blueprint nonetheless for our ghosts, now we can actually add that. Just close this, it's going to start flickering again. So now we can add our ghost here. So let's go ghost, red, yellow, blue, and then lastly pink. Okay, so we have our all 4 ghosts classes, right? So we created the class, we haven't instantiated the classes yet because we need to do that in the setup function. So we don't want to do that just before. The reason I put it all here is so then it's accessible throughout the function. So this is more like a global variable rather than a local one. You can instantiate them inside of a function, but then it becomes much more difficult to access them outside. Okay, so because we only have 4, perfectly fine there. All right, let's go to our setup function. Okay, and then I'm going to make some space and let's get to setting up some of these ghosts. So the reason we put all of these parameters here is so I can basically instantiate the ghost in using one line instead of, setting it up over and over again. Okay, let me just show you how it's done. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the red one first. So red is equals to new ghost, right? Right now we have a new ghost, and then I'll end the line. So right now it still needs like few parameters. The first one it needs is a form, right? So we need a form first, and I'm going to pass in this as the game form because that's the form that's going to be attached. This script here is going to be attached to the form, right? So if you look at the name, it says form1.cs, right? And the form itself as well is called form1.cs, okay? So, because it's this form, we're going to pass this form into that function, so then we can reference it. Okay, second one is we're going to need an image, right? So if you need an image, let's go and say properties, resources, red. Okay, so that's a red ghost image, right? We're going to pass that in there. And then the X and Y value, right? So X and Y value, we're going to set it to 100 by 100. So it's sort of in the left-hand corner of the game. So let's see if the red ghost is showing up when we run the program. So there you go. So see, the red ghost is now here, right? Although it's not going to do anything at the moment, right? Because all the class has been created and such, it's not doing anything right now. But it will get fairly active once we put in the rest of the instructions in. Okay, and then right after that, we're going to say go. We also need to make a ghost list, actually. Yeah. So let's do another list here. Ghost, probably ghosts with the S, and then new list, right? So we need to keep a track of how many ghosts, like all the ghosts that are added into this game. Okay. Let's go back to the setup function. And left it somewhere here. Oh yeah. Okay, so end of the line where we're adding the red ghost, I'm going to say ghosts with this and then add. Okay, red. Okay, so red ghost will be added. Let's do the blue one. New ghost. Once again, this, then comma, properties dot resources dot blue. And then for the blue one, we're going to say I've done the calculations before. 848,597, I think it was for the blue one. And then ghosts add blue. Okay, so then the blue one will get added. Let's do the yellow one. New ghost, right? So we got this, comma, properties, use the resources, dot yellow. And then for the X and Y value for the yellow one is 132,584. Okay, so that's the location for the yellow yellow ghost. And then lastly, I'm going to add this one. So add that, and then we'll do the pink ghost. Okay, let's go with this. Resources dot pink, and then pink ghost is going to go to 877,130. Okay, and also add pink ghost. Okay, so then we can actually add all of them to the list as well. So let's see how they show up. So yep, there you go. So they're showing up in their locations, right? It's perfect. All right, so we got them all in there. Now let's see if how the movements actually work. So the way we set up the movements one is we need to reference Pac-Man in there, right? So we have got access to each of them anyway through the list and also through their names, right? So if I just go ahead and just say the red one, right? So red dot ghost movement, right? And then I can just pass in Pac-Man from there. Okay, and if I do that, you can see their movement start. As you can see now, it's going left, going right, and now it's just disappeared off the map. Okay, so this is why we need to have the minimum height and minimum width, right? Because the ghosts are going to be going between these states, right? So it's going to go between left, right, up and down, right? And we need to, when it hits the border from the left or border from the right, we need to be able to tell it, okay, you can't go any further than this. You have to reverse. So if you're going up, reverse down. If you're going left, reverse to the right. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so end of the switch statement inside of inside the ghost movement function there. So the last one before the bracket that ends the function, we are inside of just under the switch statement there, right? So if I go here and say if, right, image left, so this is we're talking about each individual ghost here, right? Is equals to min width. Okay, so if it's less than minimum width, right, I want to change the direction to right because I don't want it to go left anymore. Okay, and then similar thing we're going to do here. If image dot left plus image dot width is greater than max width, right? Then we're going to do direction is equal to left. So instead of going right, it's going to go left. Let's do the up and down as well. So if image.top less than minimum height, that is true, yeah, then we're going to say direction is equals to down. Okay, we're going to probably follow the same style as before. Okay, and then last one is going to be if image top plus image height is greater than max height, right, then it's going to direction is going to be equal to top or up, top. Okay, so we have up, down, left, and right. Hopefully, let's see if that is minimum, maximum. Okay, so these are the 4 directions that we're going to give it. So basically, if it is going in a direction and it hits the minimum requirement or the maximum requirement, we're just reversing the direction, so that way it always stays inside of the frame. Okay, so let's go and see if the red one now leaves the screen. So we saw a little bump there against the walls. Okay, so it hits the top there, goes to the bottom. Okay, so see, regardless of which direction it goes into, it's still inside of the boundaries, right? It's not leaving the boundaries. That's great. So now let's go ahead and do the bits for the other one. So I'm just going to duplicate this line before. Okay, and then this one's going to be blue, yellow, and then pink. Okay, so we've got all 4 of them there. Then let's see what it looks like. Okay, so I've got all four of them moving in. This is happening inside of the timer, right? So we're moving this inside of the timer. Although it's from another class, it still works just as well. Okay, so as you can see, they all have the random movements. Okay, and they will pick it depending on where the change variable is actually changing. So when it's reducing down to a 0, setting a new number for itself, and then it's going back around, and while it's setting a new number, it's assigning a new value for this. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Okay then, so another thing we need to do is now to look for the seek, right? So when the enemies are actively seeking the player. All right, let's go and do that. So that's going to be another switch statement inside of here. So right underneath case down, right? Let's do case seek. Okay, and then here going to be quite a few if statements inside here before we can move on. All right, first we're going to say if image.left is greater than Pacman.left, right? Then we're going to say image.left minus equals to x speed. This is why we're using the x speed, because we're passing the speed down to half. Okay, so moving it to, all right, so if the image left, so if the image is like, say, for example, further down than the Pac-Man where it is going to move towards Pac-Man at this point instead of moving away from it. Okay, let's go and do the other side. So you say if image left is less than Pacman.left, okay, then image.left is going to be plus equals to speed. Oh, no, sorry, x speed. Okay. All right, so it works on the both sides. Let's do the top and bottom as well. If image.top is greater than Pacman.top, right? Then we want to move it up again, right? So it's a image.top minus equals to y speed. And if image.top is less than Pacman.top, then image.top is going to be plus equals to y speed this time. Plus and then equals to would be nice. So we have greater than, less than, greater than, less than, and then anytime it's a greater, it goes minus, anytime it's less, it goes plus. So we cover for both angles of the thing, right? So this is the part we need for the seeking algorithm, right? So we're just checking to see if the Pac-Man is before the ghost or after the ghost, and depending on where the Pac-Man is, it can automatically adjust its speed and direction to follow the Pac-Man. All right, I think we can try this out and see if we actually land on seek at least once. All right, so let's see if there you go. So one of them, two of them is actually gone into seek, and now they're back in again. Yeah, if I move, you can see that some of them will follow me around, right? But then after a bit, they'll go back to the usual. Okay, so now there's one of them is honing in. Okay, so you can tell when it's when they're in the seek mode because they go diagonally. Usually they will just stick to up, right, left, and up, down, left, and right. Okay, so if they're diagonal, you know that seek mode is on then at the moment. Okay, great. Seems to be working perfectly fine then. And let's see if the seek mode gets activated again. Ah, there we are. Pink one's coming, but you left halfway through. And that's good. So it makes it a little bit more interesting because their movements become unpredictable, right? Their movements become unpredictable at this point. Okay, so I think we got quite a lot done there. Yeah, did get quite a lot done. So we're setting up the ghosts and everything else. Setting that up as well. I think one last thing we do need to do for the ghosts is when the game is up, when the game is over, I want to run a separate function so it changes their direction instead of the same direction as when the player actually got caught by the ghost, right? So end of the ghost movement function, right? So it's going to be this one here. I'm going to make some space here and then call it public void change direction. Okay, we don't need a parameter for this one. All we want to do is just say direction. I'm just going to copy code from there, to be honest. So this line here. So I just wanted to change that. So that way, when the game ends, the characters don't all move like, the way they were before the game ended. So they start off on a new direction. Okay, a couple of more bits to add. So I think inside the start button, we put some stuff there for the ghosts to be added later. Okay. So what we can do here is you take other values done from here, copy it. Okay, so as we click on start, we want to reset the ghost locations, right? So we're going to say red image location, right, is equals to a new point. Okay, so at this point we want to set it to that, and then let's go into the second one, blue. Still blue. Image location is equals to a new point. Okay, so new point allows us to basically pass in two values, so x and y. You can have more if you like, but it works perfectly fine for locations. So it is quite convenient in that sense. Okay. Let's go again. So this one is going to be yellow. Image location is equals to new point. Copying that over. Last one is going to be pink. Image location is equals to new point again. 130. Okay, so these are four ghosts that will be reset when we actually click on start, right? So they will basically what it means, like when we do the collision and stuff, when the game ends, we want the ghost to be reset alongside with the player and so on. Few bits that's left at the moment is the game over function and the ghost collision function, right? Okay, so let's do the game over function first, and then we can do the ghost collision one. So panel menu, I'm gonna say menu panel, I think it was called. Panel menu, that's it, yeah. Panel menu dot visible is equals to true, so we can see it again. And panel menu dot enabled is equals to true, so we can click it again. Timer one, not timer one, sorry, game timer dot stop. Okay. We all need to show the coins at this point, because if you have taken some coins, we should be able to show rest of it. So reset the coins basically. And then we will change Pac-Man's location to new point. It is back to in the center again, basically. Okay. A new point at the moment. Where are you? Now, if you have overlapping elements like I do here, you can quite easily find what you're looking for if you just go do the drop down option. So this is why you're naming it actually helps quite a bit. So I find my Pac-Man here without needing to remove anything. So the location is this. I'm going to copy the location from there and then close the form and then paste the location here. Okay. All right. And then I do have an info. LVL info. Yeah. Oh, LVL info.text is equals to let's pass in a message through here, so then we can customize the message each time the game is played, right? So say string message. Okay, and then you just show the message when it's done. That way, if your game over is like when you lose by getting killed, or when game over is like you win by winning all the collecting all the coins. So we can show different messages. Okay, so this one's going to be quite easy actually. So because we have a ghost G, picture box, Pac-Man, and a ghost, right? So this one is a class for the ghost, and this is the picture box of the ghost. So we need to check for the bounds between these two, and then run the other change direction function and game over function from there, from this one. Okay, I'm going to say if Pac-Man once again, bounds don't intersect with, okay, ghost dot bounds. Okay, if that happens, game over. So that means that the ghost got you, right? You died. Okay, score, and then obviously just show the score in the end. Okay, and then also we need to do G dot change direction. So I don't want the ghost to straight away, if he was like following the character or something like that, I don't want the ghost to straight up come back with that. So I want the ghost to change direction so it feels like a new game and give the player a chance to play the game again. Okay, so now let's put the ghost collision function from here, right, into the timer. Okay, let's move up a little bit, keep going. There we are. So we have the ghost there, and then we can now run another for each loop. Okay, let's do another for each loop. Now this time I'm going to look for ghosts. Call this one ghost, and then in ghost there. Okay. All right, and then we're going to check for the ghost collision. So first we need the ghost class. Now we have a perfect reference inside the for each loop called ghost, right? And then we need Pac-Man, of course, and then we need the ghost image. So ghost image. Okay. The first one is the reference to the class, second one is the reference to the picture box, and third one is the reference to the picture box of the ghost. Okay, so if during the loop, if the ghost is touching the player, then we should be able to see the game over screen. Okay, let's go. Somebody go berserk. There we are. Oopsie. There you go. Pac-Man, you died. Right now, if I score a little bit before I die, I died when I got 3. Okay, and I got 36. That's great. I'm just going to comment this one out for now. So then I can collect all the coins and go my game over function here. The game over function, say you win. Oh, come on. There we are. Okay. You win. Score. No score. Right. It makes it easier to customize the messages then. Right, let's go and collect all the coins. While the ghosts, while I have a cheat mode on. Okay, great. So at the moment it tells me that I win. I scored 104, and then I can basically just play the game again. Okay. Turn the cheat mode off. Just to check that bit. Okay. Thank you for following this tutorial so far. If you found it useful, please leave a like and a subscribe. And don't forget to join our Patreon to get access to all the source code, images, and future videos. I'll see you on the next tutorial.